Hello, 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 beautiful people. Now, have you ever asked the question, is this all there is? That is a question that we're exploring in our upcoming anthology, Corporate to Calling, Stories of Courage to Live an Aligned Life. And I have with me one of the authors, Marijana, from Germany, my home country, to talk a little bit about what that means to her, why she chose to join this book, and just creating some excitement and a conversation about this topic. What does that even mean? Going from corporate to calling, and why is that so important right now? So, Marijana, I'd love to hear from you. What was lighting you up as you were seeing this project being shared?
What was lighting me up was when I saw it, it resonated with me because I used to work in corporate and I like writing, and I felt like, wow, I think it's time to share like my past, because it's been quite a while since I left corporate. And what was the calling? What was the intuitive like calling, even though I didn't have it that conscious when I left? I think it's going to be a good like reflection of that journey. There's a lot of healing around that, like identity. Who am I? Who I want to be? What am I doing? What am I contributing? And I feel by joining this book with others, there will be many stories, and we can just, give permission to other people to reflect on where they are. And that doesn't necessarily mean to leave, but just to take a really like aligned decision where their path is leading them to. And I'm really looking forward to join a co-authored book and also, be part of that international group. I love international connections.
Yeah, international is always powerful, and we truly are international. The countries we have represented so far are Germany, Australia, and the US. So, and I'm sure there'll be a few other countries. I wonder, Canada might come to the table, the UK might come to the table. We'll see. Maybe New Zealand. Yeah, it definitely will be very international, because that's where my people are. I'm a global citizen, so therefore
Yes.
global people come into the books that I create. Now, tell us just a little bit about what you're doing now. And has the calling that you were following, has that changed? Has that shifted? Or were you quite clear on, I need to do more of this? Like when you left, how did that journey unfold?
No, I actually left 3 times. Kind of like, if I look back, that's going to be interesting to reflect. Like, how did you leave and how do you do more of the same, even though you kind of leave? It was an intuitive choice. Like, I'm today, I'm a transformational guide for leaders. And intuition and feeling and connecting with the emotions and being true to ourselves is one of the, let's say, key learnings for myself throughout my own journey. So no, I was not clear at all, but I was clear that I need to change something. Like with the next restructuring, I was like, well, I can, spend another 10 years here, but I felt like I need to do something different. I can always kind of go back into that environment. It's not a one-time decision once for, forever. But I felt like I need to explore something else. So that was an intuitive calling to follow my intuition. And I wasn't clear at all. And I'm going to reflect on that it's maybe good to have somebody to guide you to get some clearance, because I guided myself. I didn't know much about coaching back then. And it was also a tough journey. It was a tough journey. It was not easy at all. So, and I feel like when we feel more into what is that calling, like, because it's somewhere down there in the heart, then we can kind of get there maybe a bit quicker, but it doesn't matter. My path was the way it was, and I learned a lot on this path. And I'll be happy to share also the parts that were not really full of happiness and joy on that path, because I think that's important too.
It's really important to share those less glamorous moments, because so often what we present or what we see on social media is all the successes that we have. But what's underneath, and the hard work and the self-doubt and the shame that comes up and the guilt and all of those things that we have to work through, they often don't get talked about. And so then when somebody wants to leave corporate now, looking at you 10 years down the track, they think, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But I feel like, your journey was exactly perfect because you've learned so much from it. And now you can guide others who are looking perhaps for that permission piece to, can I follow my calling? Can I find the courage within myself to say yes to this deeper yearning that I have, that there is something more. And I'm here to play a bigger game. And this corporate structure I'm in may just not be the right vehicle for me. And I want to be very clear, like, I'm not in any way saying corporate is bad. I know some people who really thrive in corporate positions and finding it really fulfilling. So we're not saying that, but I think that who this book speaks to is the people who feel like a black sheep or who do feel constricted, right? And that was you, and that is so many women in particular, I find. But let's talk briefly about just like an insight into that identity shift that needs to happen as we're moving from one to the other, and how that piece can actually often get in the way of opening the path up with a lot more ease. How was that for you?
Well, the identity shift, now you're touching a topic that I'm really passionate about, like, who are we, to ask that question. And who are we with a job, without a job, within corporate, outside of corporate, to really find that out. And we are not our position, because we can change it. So we cannot be our position. Everything we can change. And there is not much left if we look at the identity part. But really finding out who we are is our values, our qualities, also our experiences are shaping who we are. And being really committed to spread that out in the world, and be it in corporate or outside of corporate, doesn't matter. But like, that's kind of this alignment. And I guess we are always on a journey. So this journey doesn't end only because, we choose something else. But the more I'm aligned with my values of flexibility, spontaneity, being in this international container, it's kind of like giving me a lot of joy already. The more I can spread my energies, and the more joyful I can be, and the more aligned I am, the less I work. So work is then not a separate thing outside of myself. And when I put that together, it's kind of it needs to be nourishing. And I know many people in corporate who feel very exhausted and who are planning when they are going to retire, so one day they can start living. And this is actually not my choice. That was not my choice. And I want to live now and to the fullest. And I want to share now to the fullest. And I need to find the context that my kind of energy and my values fit. And maybe it's just a different context.
Yes.
It can be just a different organization that this is asked. And I feel we are living in good times where we need more of this intuitive power, and not only our certificates and everything, but like, who are we, and who are we also as a company? When we are working in a company, we are bringing that into that company context and living these values, and, not kind of selling a product, but selling the values. I mean, many companies are already doing that successfully. And I feel there's a lot of co-creation possible if we are allowing ourselves to be who we are and to thrive in an environment. And then, as I said, it's not about work, it's about doing from being. And this is something, if I can make a difference with, writing or participating in that book, and giving the permission and sharing and unmasking how my journey went, because it's not the joyful, linear, wow, But it was part of that journey to feel and to connect and to go through the fears. And you just said shame. And I feel like shame is a big, big topic to find out who we are. And I know how ashamed I was when I didn't have a job in the beginning. I didn't even share. I mean, I left on purpose. I couldn't say I'm not doing anything. I felt so ashamed. And we shouldn't be ashamed of finding who we are.
Yes, but it's just, yeah, it's going against everything that our culture is expecting of us or conditioning us into. And so it really, these stories that we're going to gather are from women like you who have overcome that cultural conditioning with, yeah, with quite some, you know, diving deep into that exploration of who am I without all of that. And that's what I'm so excited about, to bring a group of change makers, I suppose, or thought leaders and visionaries together, or visionaries in the making even, right? Because we're all on a journey and nobody's ever saying like, this is like, we're a thought leader, like we can become experts in who we are, and we can have that embodied experience of who we are. And often the sharing and the writing of our story, that discipline and that reflection helps us on that transformational journey to step even deeper into that knowing of, this is who I am, these are my values, this is what I want to live by. And that's what I'm really excited about for every single contributor joining, to excavate that even more, even if like you have already been out for was it 10 years now, right?
Well, 15 from the employed corporate,
Okay.
10 years, yes, 10
Yeah.
years from the freelance world. Let's put
Yeah,
it.
and then we've got others who are just coming out of that void from corporate into their new business, and we have people who've been in maybe for 9 months. So everybody on the spectrum is in, and will have a different perspective and focus on slightly something different, and you will activate one another as well in that process of, something will drop in for one person and it will activate something for another contributor. So that journey is what really excites me, and that intangible magic that happens in the meetings as we are writing is really what lights me up the most. And then seeing who you become as a result, and how you show up in the world even more embodied in your zone of genius afterwards. And of course, for the reader, giving them permission, showing them the stories without the mask, to then also come in contact with somebody like you, to make it easier, to make that transition easier. So that's what I'm excited about. Do you have any parting words, any final things that you would like to voice or share before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for creating this space and for making this possible and bringing all these voices together. I think this is so valuable. So I want to thank you for doing this. And I'm already excited to be part of this co creation. And well, my parting words are to trust that we know,
To
and
trust.
that we know, yeah, and to trust all of us together in this process. And yeah, I'm excited actually, to be honest, to see what's gonna, how am I gonna show up here? What's gonna be new for me on this journey that I haven't uncovered yet or unmasked. So it's going to be an exciting journey, and I'm happy to be part of this.
I'm so excited for it myself. Yes. And for anybody watching, I've put the link to the landing page where you can find out more about the project. You can also simply reach out to me. I will tag Marijana as well, in this post, in this video. And if you feel the calling, come and join us, and trust that, yeah, follow the excitement, right? Follow the excitement, follow the joy, and trust that that will guide you always where you need to go. So
Yes.
thank you for being here, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.
Bye bye.